refuse to be another tool of deception, to be another wheel set forth in the giant machine which is Konami's profit motive. Revolution Beginnings is terrible. It's a bad box. It sucks.
And it's time to stop.
And if you believe that it's time to stop as well, hit that like button and let Konami know how this box will have zero impact on the meta and an instant impact on your credit card if you go and buy into this filth that the other YouTubers are peddling every single month.
Are they gone? Are they gone?
Every single month I make these videos and talk about the cards that are coming out of this box. And people always think that I'm a shill of Konami, that I just love these cards because I'm some sort of fool that cannot see across the aisle and see that these cards are not meta. Well, guess what? The meta is what it is until it changes, and unfortunately in Yu-Gi-Oh! We have this perception of it's very bad until it's very good. But guess what? I don't know what's gonna be good or bad about this box. Like I always say, you should just wait a week or so to see what type of stuff comes out of the box to understand if you want to invest your gems, your money, or your mom's credit card. Just give it a chance. You never know what's going to happen. But in this box, we have a lot of interesting things. So let's just link into it. Let's just link into it. That was bad, actually. That was pretty bad. All right, boys. Welcome back to my channel. I'm YTDan. Just another dank duelist like you. And we're going to be getting in here for Revolution Beginnings. Witness the beginning of a new age. Join the revolution with Junk Destroyer! Of course, Junk Destroyer, the destroyer of junk. So everybody knows Synchro Monsters are pretty hard to play. You know, Synchro Monsters actually give you a disadvantage because you normally have to play multiple cards to get their effect going. Now, I'm not going to tell you that Junk Destroyer is the best card in the game, but I mean, Junk Destroyer is, so far as it comes to Duel Links, one of the cards that I think could potentially make an impact. Let's talk about Junk Destroyer, my boy, and you'll be the judge. Now, Junk Destroyer is a pretty interesting card. When this card is synchro summoned, you can target cards on the field up to the number of non-tuner monsters you use to synchro summon it and destroy those targets. So basically, if you use 3 monsters to bring this guy out, you're going to be able to destroy 2 cards. But I'm predicting that that's not going to be the main thing. A lot of people, I'm sure, are probably going to use this monster to synchro summon with probably just 1 card and probably go 2 monsters in to make 1 Junk Destroyer. Now, if you make use 2 monsters to make Junk Destroyer, that's just going to obviously nick your opponent by 1 card. It might make this card worth playing when using it with using cards like what grows in the graveyard and other things like that. But we'll just have to see as the game unfolds. It's just a pretty interesting card, I think, and I think at the end of the day, you know, it is a card that's worth being a UR. I mean, I'm sure that any type of card that's going to destroy cards easily on summon is probably going to come out as a UR, but I mean, that's kind of obvious at this point. So let's talk about some of these other recommended cards here, because clearly there's 4 key cards in this box that everyone wants to pretty much just talk about and go over, and everybody has been going nuts and going crazy about Miracle Fusion, and there's no reason why you should not be hyper excited for Miracle Fusion. Anything that can special summon a monster by using materials in the graveyard is probably going to be a really good card, and which is why it probably has that UR title. Now, my boy Showstopper asked me for a nice, delicious shout out if I mentioned Miracle Fusion in my live stream of YouTube Rewind. So I'm reaching over right here and I have this dank, delicious shout out for my boy Showstopper King. What up? So Miracle Fusion is a pretty good card. You can summon a fusion monster from your fusion deck by using monsters in the grave or on the field that basically are the fusion materials. And why that's so good is because using resources in the graveyard is always a good move, because clearly you don't have to have them in your hand. It basically gives your deck a little bit of recyclability, and that's literally what heroes need to play in Duel Links. It's an awesome top deck card, and definitely with something like, I believe it's the Skyscraper skill with Jaden, you can bring out a Flame Wingman swinging at 3100, run over a Blue Eyes, and they take 3000 to the face. That can end the game all on its own. So Miracle Fusion is definitely going to be that card to play, especially for a monster like Flame Wingman. So I'm pretty excited to just see this card in general. Doom Caliber Knight is another one of those cards that a lot of people are already counting out before it even comes out. And honestly, I would just say this. Doom Caliber Knight is a great card. It's seen a lot of play in stun decks in the TCG, but I'm not really sure how many plays you're gonna see with Doom Caliber Knight in the actual game. To be fair, Doom Caliber Knight is a type of card that really works well with the main phase 2, forcing your opponent to go into certain plays, and then maybe they have to do things differently or try to attack it, and then you can activate a battle trap. However, in this meta without a main phase 2, I think another card that will work great with this card is Absolute Crusader that we just got from Tristan. And Absolute Crusader says when a level 5 or higher monster is special summoned, you can tribute that card to kill it. So having something like Absolute Crusader in your deck and Doom Caliber Knight as a nice little combo together may be a type of deck that could just pretty much prove to be a pretty effective stun deck. And these are all level 4 monsters, so as the game progresses and we see how the meta kind of shakes out, that could probably be a viable option for you.
Next card.
So the next obvious cards we need to talk about are the Fabled monsters. Now clearly these monsters are going to be something that's going to be worth looking into, something that may be on that quote-unquote rogue tier, fun tier, whatever tier you want to assign it to that's just not quote-unquote top tier. Now the only reason I'm going to say that is because anytime a new box drops, most of the time there isn't just a runaway deck right out of the box unless it's like blatantly obvious how disgusting the combos are. But for this archetype, you do have some very strong key cards, some cards that just cannot be ignored. So that's Fabled Raven, Fabled Grimrow, and Fabled Cruise. Now those 3 cards are going to be a nice little Fabled engine for you, because as Konami spells it out for you clearly, you can see how these cards work together with one another. So starting off with Fabled Raven. Fabled Raven allows you to discard once per turn as many cards as you choose, and with those discards you can go up 1 level or 400 points for each card discarded. Now the cool thing about Fabled Raven is that of course that power boost can definitely end the game, because this is Duel Links, we're only playing with 4,000 life points. But also this is a tuner monster, and the amount of cards you discard can give this card a boost, and we do have a Fabled tuner that is a level 2 I believe, that is also an SR I think, and that card can be used as a combo as well. So even if you just start there and discard 1 card, which is that card, you'll get to special summon that card, and then you'll have 2 tuners on board. Now with 2 tuners, you can open yourself up to some interesting plays. You could summon a monster, tune with that tuner, and then tune again with the tuner and that new synchro monster. Or if you already had a monster on board, you can sync up with a monster that was already on the field. So it's a pretty interesting card to say the least, but it's going to be used optimally with these combos that Konami laid out for us. So the next card we have is Fabled Grimrow. If you control a Fabled monster, you can discard this card from your hand to add a Fabled monster to your hand from your deck, and accept of course another Grimrow. Now clearly this gives me the vibe of seeing that you have Fabled Raven here, Fabled Grimrow as a UR. Fabled Grimrow is going to be like a 2 or 3 of in the deck, and then I believe that this card is a rare. So will the deck be really expensive? Because this is a main box, you're gonna have to get 3 URs. It's gonna be a pretty expensive deck, similar to Dark World. So I don't really know how viable it is for people to get, but of course, you know, your boy going in the whole box, why not? And Fabled Cruise is the final card. Now when this card is discarded from your hand to the graveyard, you can select a level 4 or lower Fabled monster in the graveyard, accept this card, and special summon it. Now, of course, that's going to be absolutely disgusting because it's going to be lots of big Fabled monsters. I can think of a few as I'm just chatting right now. Those monsters are going to be able to be easily special summoned, and of course, this is a level 2 light monster fiend that can be searched out with the other monster's effects. So pretty much you can go into some spicy plays. And with a 4 and a 2 on the field, you can make a 6, or you can go from your level 3 monster, and if you just discarded Cruise and you're level 4, you can clearly go into a level 7 synchro play, which is pretty legit, but we can get into the legitness of those level 7 synchro plays depending on how the meta shapes up. So Fabled Valkyrus is a level 8 synchro monster. So once per turn, you can discard a fiend to draw 1 card. Meh. But it's 2900 beat stick, so you know it works within the archetype. And now we also have the addition of a level 4 synchro, the Fabled Kundabi. Now Kundabi is an interesting card. Not only being a level 4 synchro monster, it does have a pretty interesting effect. So if you have 0 cards in your hand, this card can't be destroyed by battle or effects. Or if you have 3 or more cards in your hand, destroy this card during the end phase. Now I could see someone playing this card and making a silly little meme deck where you just pretty much use this card to stall your opponent out, and that could be extremely irritating, and I'm sure someone's gonna do it. But you know, it's definitely some interesting things coming out of Fabled. I'm seeing, from looking in this box, an alternative win strategy coming out of Fabled. Probably instead of just beating you to death or overpowering you, maybe there's some sort of deck out or mill potential here with something like this. And now we have the obvious SR here, level 5 synchro Fabled Raven. So of course we already know that playing Fabled monsters is going to reduce your hand pretty fast. There's already been handless combos within our meta from time to time that has always gained and failed in and out of provenance. However, this card is probably going to be a saving grace for Fables because of obviously there's going to be a hand deficit as they're constantly discarding cards, and maybe some cards don't come back or recoup themselves. So Fabled Raven, if you have 1 or less cards in your hand, you can draw until you have 2 cards once per turn when you synchro summon. So I think that's pretty spicy in general. Honestly, I'm not really sure how powerful this is going to be, but it is an interesting effect indeed, because if nothing else, allowing you to draw 2 cards might not recoup your monsters, but it may bolster your back row, and any type of back row in any kind of deck, doesn't matter what monsters you play. If you got 2 or 3 in the back row and a monster on board, a lot of times that means it is game in your favor, because there's not too many cards to just get rid of back row. Or is it? Can I get a like for the segue though? Wreckin Power. This card is busted. Kawokimarus are about to be fully awakened in this box, and I really think that this card is absolutely disgusting, maybe a little overpowered for Duel Links, but who knows. Reveal 1 Iron Core Kawokimaru in your hand. Destroy all face down spell traps your opponent controls. I don't really know what's going to happen with Wreckin Power, but within a deck like Kawokimaru's, with so many negates and stuns, having the ability to blow away your opponent's back row is absolutely devastating, and clearly this is a card you'd use on your end phase. I would think that if nothing else, this card would be nerfed a little bit and say, during your main phase 1, flip this card. But no, this card says, activate this card, blow up your opponent's back row, show them a card. I can't think of what's even more disgusting and intimidating. You think about it, you destroy your opponent's entire back row, and then you show them the Kawokimaru that's going to kill their monster. Scoop mode. Goodbye, I'll have my duel elsewhere. So clearly this is going to be a heavy hitter. It's going to be a problem, and people are going to be using this card like mad in Duel Links with balance, I'm sure, with their Kawokimaru decks. Can't wait for the cry. Can't wait for the salted tears. Can't wait. There's one more thing we need to talk about here. One main thing that I feel like I'll be doing a disservice if I don't talk about it, and it's this card, the Kamakuri Shogun, which basically says, hey look, we got other Kamakuri cards here, boss. Go ahead and look in this box and pick up some Kamakuri cards. if you want them. So, okay, Konami, I look at these Kamakiri cards. A lot of people like these cards in TCG. I know nothing of these Kamakiri beasts. And honestly, to me, I'm sorry, probably unpopular opinion here, I don't like how the Kamakiri cards look, okay? I'ma just say it right now. I know there's some metal Shoguns or some steampunk Shoguns, but hey, I'm not a big fan of steampunk. I kind of don't like that aesthetic. You know, I mean, that's not really like a big deal. I don't think anyone comes here for my steampunk opinions, but I just kind of don't like the look. I just don't like it. But here you go with these Shogun dudes. They got some big defense and big attack, and these cards are pretty okay. I think that like moving into archetype-based synchros is probably going to be the best bet for Konami to move very slowly into the synchro era, opening up with a bunch of unique synchro monsters that are all pretty much niche to summon is probably going to be Konami's best bet to maintain a power check as they upload cards slowly, because as soon as they drop cards like Red Dragon Archfiend, Black Rose Dragon, and other equally powerful synchro monsters that do not require a specific archetype, it's just going to be hell to pay for everything. But let's just talk about this card real quick. So basically, when you synchro summon this card, you can special summon another Kamakiri monster from your deck. Now, of course, that's great in and of itself. Being able to special summon a monster is always amazing. And also, you can change the battle position of one monster on the field. Now, that means face down and face up too. So that's pretty disgusting as well. So clearly, this is going to be a game-ending boss monster. I think that this deck has a little bit of potential, but again, will it shake the meta? Who knows? Now, there also is one more card I want to talk about, because like I said, I didn't want to talk about everything. What do I think about Shrink really fast? Decent, but I mean, I don't know. I probably prefer something to destroy a card rather than cut its attack in half. But also, Shrink could probably work well in Gladiator Beast, so could be worth trying out there. And then you kind of have this other card, Unending Nightmare, which basically lets you destroy a face-up spell or trap on the field. I don't really know how much I would really like to play this card, but it's continuous, so why not? But the card I really wanted to talk about is a card that literally has no bearing on anything. Misjudge. Now this card is pretty spicy. It's as if an opponent's monster activates their effect. Before resolving the effect, you toss a coin, and if both of them are heads, you can negate the monster effect. Now the funny thing about this is, I really think that this could be a decent card within that one skill that Joey has that makes all the coin flips heads. Now again, this is more of a stun deck idea, so if you played Misjudge with an Absolute Crusader and you had Misjudge and Absolute Crusader both sitting on the field, Misjudge can negate any monster's effect by flipping a damn coin, and Absolute Crusader can kill any level 5 or higher. That could be a spicy little meme deck, a really annoying deck, and then you can summon your Blowback Dragon to pop their monsters and stuff for game. So I would think that that would be pretty interesting to play. It's just a fun little deck to play with Joey's skill. But at the end of the day, I don't really think that this is going to be like a big hit card, but I did think this was one of the more interesting cards that are available within this box set. So, what is my opinion of Revolution Beginnings? At the end of the day, I think that there are some strong cards in there. Like always, there's some pretty good cards, some good combos, some nice one-offs as always. As I mentioned before, there's a good idea to run cards like Absolute Crusader, maybe Doom Caliber Knight, and different stun decks. But we also already kind of have a stun deck, that DD Warrior deck that everyone's playing with DD Assailant, and that one card that allows the Psychic monster that destroys your monster after it battles it. So that could just be a nice addition to that deck. Who knows? Because I don't really like to play those kind of decks all the time. To me, in Duel Links, I really feel like Duel Links is the type of game that's set up to play a couple turns and move on with your life. I do not like to play 20-turn games in Duel Links. They're just annoying, and I don't like to take a game up to 10 turns because that's also annoying as well. Now, I think this box is all right. I think that if you got some extra gems, some extra cash, some holiday ducats that you're really burning a hole in your pocket, burn the hole over here. But at the end of the day, it's up to you, my boys, and what you do. And my advice always is to wait about a week or so to see what forms, see what decks come out, and see if anything comes out that's interesting to you. But at the end of the day, my boys, it's time to start crushing that like button. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. As always, keep it dank.